Hey everyone, what's up? This is Simon from the Ionic Academy, back with a super interesting tutorial on how to combine the side menu pattern with the tab bar. So we've seen it with Ionic 3, it was a bit challenging, and with Ionic 4 it was actually a bit complex and not working like you would expect it. So with the latest updates to Ionic version 4, it has become super easy. So we will create a flow where we have a login page, then we will be brought to a page with a side menu. Inside the side menu have a tab bar. We can go to a details page, we can have a side menu page without the tab bar. So a lot of things, let's do this. I've already started a blank new Ionic app and we need to create quite a few pages. So let's start this. So first of all, we need the login page. This will be the first page. We don't have a login logic in our case, but we still want to mimic that behavior anyway. So in case the CLI is a bit slow today, wow, it's super slow actually. Let me just bring up a document so I can copy and show you all the pages we need. So here's what we need. The first one is the login. The second one is the menu, which holds the general menu structure. Then we got two pages which will be displayed inside the menu and then in the content area. And this is only for the menu part. So then we continue by having two tab pages. I think maybe our connection dropped anyway. Then we got the two tab pages, which will be inside this page. You might have seen it from the title. And later on, we would need one additional details page, just so we can show the push behavior from different pages inside the app. So let me fix my internet and then we can continue with the created pages. Okay, so now all pages are created inside the pages folder and we can get rid of the home folder. I like the structure with having the pages and then everything in there a bit more. So we can also close this and then we can go to our app routing and we can also run Ionic Surf in the background so we can see what we're doing. So once we create pages with a CLI, all of them will be added in here, or if we specify another module in there, and we don't want the path in here. So we can basically get rid of most of the things in here. Home doesn't exist anymore. So this is the initial path. It will redirect to our login, which is fine for now. And then we have a path menu, which links to some menu module, and that's also fine for us right now. You will see how this works soon. So now the starting entry point is the login page, and in here, as I said, we will not have any logic, and I will just bring in the code. So what we do in here is using the rutile link on the Ion button. And with this, we don't need to call a function and then the Angular router, we can directly do it from here. And the login will take us to the menu page, which means the routing will look up menu and then go deeper into the menu page module. And that's this one. And in there, we want to navigate to a path first, but this is not yet here. So let's add this path now. So we go ahead and simply add some children to our menu page, and those will look like this. Path first, that's the page we want to navigate to directly, and then we have to call load children. I'll just copy the path because I'll definitely get this one wrong. So in here for the first page, we're using the first with tabs, of course, and for the second page, guess what? This will be the second page module. So now once we navigate from here with the button to the menu page, we're inside the menu. So we left the login, we leave this behind. I did save, please close. And we are in here and the path will be resolved to load this one. But still, we of course need the general structure for the menu. So let's continue with the menu page. And in here, I will add a little array of pages just to make things a bit more dynamic and flexible. And in here we got title for each entry, first page with tabs, and then the URL or the path to that page, which would be menu/first. And same again for the second page. So that's the second page and this one's blank and the URL would be second. So now we can create the view based on those pages and the links to generate the menu inside the sidebar. So this is all about creating this site that you can pull in. And sorry, my hand hurts a bit today. A lot of typing for this tutorial actually. So the constructor for this page is private router, as I was corrected recently. Was it router? Please leave a comment below what's the spelling. Say A if it is router or B if it is like router. Okay, thanks. All right. We need this because we want to subscribe to the change event. So we can easily do this by saying subscribe if you type it correctly. Angular router. Of course, we need to subscribe to the events and then we will get back events which are of the type router event. And with this, we can check if we actually got an event and the URL of the event is set. And in that case, we will set a variable that we call selected path, which is empty in the beginning, and then set the selected path to the event URL. This will help us to check inside the view if we're currently on that path, so we can highlight the page using some CSS. Let me bring it in. There we go. Oops. So active item, just a little border using the Ion color primary CSS variable to style an element. And we will do this conditionally, but now we know on which path we are, so we can compare it to the URL of the according menu entry. Okay, I hope you can follow up until this point, because now we need to implement the actual menu page. And therefore we need to get rid of everything. And I'll wrap this inside an Ion split pane. And one word on why we do it like this. So in all of the Ionic starters or tutorials, you will see that they added this part with Ion split and Ion menu basically directly to the app component, which means the menu is always there. You can just add some hacks to disable it or hide it. And I don't think that's the best way. I think it's better like this. Keep the app component like it is, have only one Ion router inside the app, and then in the right place, which is the menu page, you can compose the actual markup for the menu. So that's my take on this. Okay, we need a content ID, and we need to set this content ID to match the one of the Ion router outlet. I already said router again, right? Yeah, well. So if you're a bit newer to Angular and the current router, this is basically a container, and the routing logic we've set up in here, which resolves to a children and then to a TypeScript file and HTML file, will be rendered inside this container. And this is the actual main area of the Ion side menu. So on the left side, what we define as Ion menu is the menu entries, and this part displays the actual content. I found this pretty hard in the beginning to understand how a menu works, so that's why I put a bit more emphasis on this. So then you can compose the Ion menu. Let me bring in the code for this. So Ion header inside the menu, whatever. And then interesting part comes here. So the Ion content, which should be closed at some point, contains an Ion list in which we go over all of our pages and create an Ion menu toggle. So this is a special type of button that can automatically hide the menu. We disable this behavior because we're using it inside the split pane, which means, is my page actually up and running somewhere? No. Which means if we're on a bigger device, on a desktop or an iPad, the menu will be visible all the time. And only on phones we will have this little burger icon at the top to expand the menu. And therefore, of course, on a desktop, you don't want to toggle the menu. It should be open. Okay, so that's auto hide. Then we continue with the Ion item. The router link, or the router link, this is the one we defined for the array. And the direction is interesting because if you set it to something like forward, it will look like a push effect. But if we set it to root, it is an animation for replacing the current view. And with the side menu and the content pages, I think the root animation looks better in this case. So finally, we got class active item, which we defined somewhere in the CSS file that is gone. And this will simply check if the selected path currently starts with our URL and then mark the item. So that's the two buttons we got in the menu. And then we also got one more at the bottom with a direct link to login. So this could be a logout button. Sometimes you might want to call the function instead. So you can say log out to your service, and then automatically, because inside your app component you're subscribed to the authentication state, you're brought back. But that's just another detail. So now we got this page, and let me see. There we go. We got the Ionic app login button, maybe a bit big, but anyway. We log in and we're on the menu first. So a few things we notice. First, the split pane is expanded. We see the menu. Second, we're directly on the first page of the menu, which is marked. We can go to the second one. We haven't actually styled those pages, so that's still the default styling. We got the logout button to go back. So everything works as expected. The only thing right here is that once the view gets smaller, we're left with this page, and we haven't implemented a button for this page. So perhaps, let's see if we can already do it. Where do we go? Okay, we go to the second page. There we go. And replace the header with something like this. Pretty much the same buttons at the start. And then when you add this Ion menu button, this button will automatically be visible only when there's a menu and it is collapsed. So if the app now refreshes, or if we just refresh it, whatever, and then continue to the second page, we see no changes here besides that it now has a blue header. But if we now collapse the view, we see that we got the burger icon and we got the menu. So that's the magic behind the Ion menu button. Okay, I think for the menu, that's pretty much everything. Because we got the login, we can log out, and we're on the menu pages. So let's continue with the tab bar. Right now, on the first page, it will load the first with tabs. And let's close a few pages, which is this page. This page has just the default implementation, and we can change this to be a simple tabs page super easily. And therefore, we go to the according module, and recently or in previous tutorials I always added another routing file or routing file. I will just do both versions all the time. But now we can actually also do it in here. Maybe I was just a bit blind. So the thing is, let's start with the HTML. Maybe that makes things even a bit more clear. So let's get rid of everything and define our Ion tabs in here. The markup has changed quite a few times, so at the time of writing and recording this, it looks like this. So we define the Ion tabs and then the actual tab bar. And within the tab bar, we now get Ion tab buttons, button, and that's basically the syntax to have a tab bar with two buttons. Okay, of course we need some more information. We need an Ion icon name. Let's use Sunny. Sun is not even here today. Anyway, and Ion label. Let's make this tab 1. And the same again for the second one. Of course, tab 2 and the moon. Now the interesting or the most important part besides the definition is saying tab. And this will be connected to the path of the actual tab. So this will be tab 1 and this tab 2. This is important. We could also use different names in here, but we need to make sure they appear inside the routing of our first tabs module. So also there's a little change or a little trick we do, because on the menu page or even on the login page, it starts where we navigate to menu first, and this will resolve to the first menu page, but not which tab. So we get into this file without any information. And therefore, I think my wife is printing something out. Okay, I think printing stopped. So we get here basically with an empty path, and we can redirect this empty path to something we want. So in our case, we would like to select the first tab. And the path match only to full. And to get this path working, we need to first of all call the parent component tabs. So we will go in here, and then we will also add an array of children, and the first one will have the path tab 1. So we get in here, we redirect to this, and we add the load children, and let me again bring in the path, which is our tab 1 that we defined somewhere here. And now just the same for the second tab. So tab 2, tab 2, tab 2, page module, and there we go. Again, the path in here, tab 1, tab 2, needs to be the same like we define here for the tab buttons in order to work. So now when the menu first loads, or perhaps we can, magic is gone. So normally this triggers menu first, but because it goes to tabs, it will also automatically redirect to the first tab. So this is automatically added. And we see we got tabs within our side menu, right? I think we got it. We actually haven't defined the menu button again, but we can still go to the second page, which is blank, and we can switch back to the first page, which holds the information. So now let's do quick change to our two tab pages. So add the Ion menu button to both of the pages in order to make it work. This is my second tab content. Now we can inspect the page. Where is it gone? So let's start at the login again. We can log in, we get to the first tab. We see the header, we can switch between tabs, we can go to the second page. We can collapse the view. We still got the tab bar, of course, and we got two tabs which both have the menu icons, so we can open the menu, and that's actually already how to combine the side menu with the tab bar. But I want to do one more thing in here. So I think we also created a details page. And now we might want to go from, let's say, the first tab or the blank second page to this details page, and we want to do it in a push way. So previously we used the navigation controller and pushed it. So how can we do this now? And actually it's very easy again. So for the second page, which has no additional routing information, we can go to our menu module, and in here simply add another one for second / details, and this will use the details page module. So this is the information, and then inside the second page we can use again a button like on the login page, where we only use the rutile link to menu second details, and the direction forward helps us to push it or to define the animation. As I said, root replaces the view, forward goes forward. And then maybe we should also take care of the details page and have the back button in place so we can go back from that page. And we can actually reuse that page. We can, just like we defined it in here, we can do it in other places as well. There's actually no problem to reuse it on different paths. So if you go to the first with tabs where we got the tab routing set up, and I've mixed routing and routing throughout the whole video whenever I was concentrated on nut. I'm sorry for that. It is a very, very bad video due to that. So in here we can also say tab 1/details and use the same page. And then basically, where's the button from the second page? Basically reuse this in here again, but now it is not menu second details, it is menu first tabs, tab 1/details. So let's save everything one more time and go back, and while it's loading OneNote, actually in this case we're already on this page, and normally we could also use a relative link from that page to the details, so we can skip all of this. But there's a problem that you can only tap the button once and then go back to the page and it never works again. So this is an open issue. I also added it, the link to it, to the accordion tutorial, which is linked below this video. So for now the workaround is to use an absolute path. So now we can go to the details page. As you can see, we can go to tab 2, tab 1, details. We can go to the second page, second details, and go back to the login. And that's the whole navigation. I think this pretty much covers everything you need to know about Ionic 4 navigation with side menu and tabs. Maybe I should call this video the whole navigation, or the biggest navigation video on Ionic 4. So I'd love you to give some thumbs up, maybe share the video, and of course subscribe to the channel, and also check out the ionicacademy.com, which is my own coding school for you to help learn everything Ionic. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure to check it out. Have a great day, and I'll catch you soon.